How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the Gear Vault podcast. I'm your host, Wes Robinson, and in today's show, we have the update, the long-awaited update for the 7mm Backcountry, where I am with the whole situation. And honestly, it didn't go quite the way I expected it to. Along with that, we've also got, a little bit of a elk hunting story. We've got issues with Vortex optics. What else do we got? We got a few other things. So I'm going to go right into the 7mm Backcountry update because I know that's what a lot of people are looking for. So if you came for that, you're in luck. We're going to knock that out first thing. So brief catch up for the people that don't know the situation. Had an issue with the first rifle that I had purchased, which was the 7mm Backcountry. That's the Savage Trail Hunter Light. That was a 16.5-inch barrel. That one had major extraction issues, major pressure issues. I sent that rifle back to Savage. They actually ended up sending me a brand new rifle. They never would tell me what was wrong with it, but they did send me a new rifle, which led me to believe that there was an issue with it. A lot of people speculated head spacing issues, but no way to know for sure, but they did send a new rifle to me. After getting that rifle back, took it to the range and shot it with a few different ammos and had honestly like super good results. I mean, accuracy was awesome in my opinion. I mean, best I remember it was like 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch groups with all 3 different types of ammo. So that was really exciting. I was pumped. But then the next time back out to the range using the Federal terminal ascent, the 170s, again, major pressure and extraction problems, and had the worst extraction, stuck case that I've had yet. That was a pain. And right off the bat, I do want to address one thing because I had a lot of comments of people being like beating your bolt against the tailgate of your truck is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I'm not advocating doing that. All I'm saying is that if I was like in a tree stand or out doing a hunt or whatever, and I didn't have a cleaning rod with me, which I wouldn't, that would be about the only way to get that thing open, is to open that bolt and slam it against a tree or something. So look at it how you want. The way I look at it is, hey, I've confirmed that in the event of an emergency, that bolt and extractor on that Savage is actually pretty strong, and you could do that if you needed to, because I have had a lot of people comment on those videos saying that they've had Savages of other cartridges have pressure issues as well. So if that ever happens and you're in the field, hey, open the bolt and beat it against something and get you another round in. I'm not saying it's the best way to do it. To be honest, it just didn't cross my mind to try the cleaning rod, and trust me, if it happens again, I promise you I will. But hey, now we know that in the event that you have a stuck case and you're out in the woods, you can open the bolt and beat it against something. It's probably not going to hurt it, which honestly is pretty impressive. That's saying something for that Savage extractor. It's strong as heck. But we, again, had a terrible extraction issue that time to the range, and finally got it out, discovered that the case had actually split. And again, super polarizing comments from people, some saying that there's no way the case would have split unless the chamber was too big, and some people saying it was definitely Federal. And I don't know. I mean, I would say that in general now it seems like most people are saying that it's a Savage issue, but when I say most, it's like 55 to 45. I mean, it's very, very polarized still. Most people say that it's Savage because they've got other Savages that are having similar problems, or have had Savages with similar issues extracting and pressure and all this and that. I'm sure their quality control isn't the best. I'm guessing they have some tight chambers and loose chambers and rough chambers and whatever else. But I will say their customer service hasn't been too bad to deal with. It's been decent. But for the other side of things, people are saying that it's Federal's problem, and that, the 80,000 PSI is the issue, and the fact that steel doesn't expand and contract the same way brass does. And all that makes sense to me too. I wouldn't have thought that Federal would have like brought something to market that was so far from like ready to like being in the public, but maybe they did. So I still don't know. The latest update from Federal, because I did reach out to them regarding that split case. I had one of their customer service reps send me an email, and I unfortunately didn't see the email until like 4 or 5 days after they had sent it. But the email said, hey, here's your options, yada, 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 send the thing back. We need lot numbers. If you can send me the case, that'd be great, or whatever. I fired off an email saying, hey, sorry, I missed you. I'd really like to jump on a call, just so we know exactly what I need to do to get this right. Never got a response back. The phone number of the person, the desk phone number of the person from Federal that had sent that email, I've called a couple times, left messages, haven't got a call back. So, and I get it, they're a big company. I'm going to keep working on that because, I don't know, I do feel that the pressure was more in that box of terminal ascent. And I don't know if that's a terminal ascent thing or if that's just that particular lot of ammo thing, but I would like to get that figured out, if nothing else, just so I can warn you all of saying, hey, this particular lot of terminal ascent, maybe stay away from, might be overpressured, but I haven't got to the point of figuring that out yet. I also had sent that second rifle back to Savage. So I sent it back to them, and at this point, I was kind of at a loss as far as just the rifle cartridge combination. Like, I was honestly pretty upset with it. So I sent a letter in the box, and I was like, hey, this is the second gun, this is the replacement rifle, whatever. Please check it over, but ultimately, if there's any way to exchange this for essentially any other cartridge, that would be ideal to me. So, my thought was, I'm just going to sell this thing. Like, the only reason I got that Savage, that inexpensive, I'm not going to say cheap. Actually, I'm going to say cheap. The only reason I got that cheap rifle was because it was the cheapest way to get into the 7mm backcountry, which I wanted to play around with. If that's not going to work in that rifle, I really don't have a reason to have that rifle. I don't like it, it's fine. I would say for the money, it's okay, assuming that it works properly. Accuracy seemed to have good potential, but it's just, I just don't like it. It's just not my style of rifle that I like. That being said, I was like, well, I can't necessarily sell this 7 backcountry because I don't know if it's any good. If it's got an issue, I'm going to feel bad putting it on like Gunbroker, taking $500 from somebody, and then they're going to have the same issues I've had. Like, that would not make me feel good. So it's like, let's send it back to Savage. Ideally get a different rifle, whatever, 308, 30-06, something super marketable, throw it on Gunbroker and cut my losses and be done. So I got an email from Savage about a week ago, I would say, and they said that this replacement rifle, this rifle that I had the latest issue with, was 100% in spec. They said they could not find any issues with it. They said maybe a little bit of like powder residue from the case splitting. I don't know, because I was like, hey, is the chamber scored after it split? They said that everything is dead nuts perfect in that rifle. I think they said they fired it some more with no issues. So, man, I don't know. They're like, if you want to replace the cartridge, or if you want to place Jesus Christ, I can't talk today. If you want to replace this rifle with a different cartridge, that's fine. We can do that if that's what you want, but it's going to have to go to an FFL. You're going to have to pay a transfer fee. They're like, or we can just send this rifle back to you. Comes to your door, no charge. I'm like, well, if the rifle's good and you say it's good, send it back, I guess. So where we are right now is today is Sunday the 28th. Tomorrow, Monday, is the scheduled day for that rifle to come back to me. So I guess I'm just going to throw that Vortex scope back on there. I did snag a box of 155 grain terminal ascent. I'm not going to shoot any more of that other terminal ascent, the 170s. I'm done with that box, but I'm going to try to run some of the other stuff through it. Some of the stuff that didn't give me as much trouble the first go around. See what happens, I guess. That's the plan as of right now. There's also a world where the gun gets here and I take pictures of it and put it on Gunbroker immediately. I haven't completely decided yet, but for those of you that was curious of the update, that's the update. I'm still waiting to hear from Federal, and Savage says the rifle is perfectly fine. So if you believe Savage's gunsmiths, then what that would leave, or that leaves us with one option, and that is the issue lies within the 7mm Backcountry cartridge itself, not necessarily the Savage rifle. So that could potentially hurt the feelings of a lot of people in the comment section. So I don't know. Let me know what you think about that. If that's the case, that's a bummer. I would truthfully rather it be just a cheap rifle having issues, because the cartridge is pretty darn cool. I mean, y'all have seen that on a lot of other people's videos and even mine. Like when it's working the way it's supposed to be working, you're getting some pretty impressive speeds out of a super short barrel. A lot of people are like, so what? I can get that out of my 24-inch 7 mag. And it's like, okay, do that. If I don't have to have a 24-inch barrel, I don't want one. I like to have the short barrels, especially a short barrel that shoots good and I can throw a suppressor on it and still have a barrel shorter than your 24. That's a good thing in my book. But the point is, different strokes for different folks. You know what I mean? Don't get upset because I want to try a 7 Backcountry, and I won't get upset because you're still rocking a 7 mag. If it works for you, it works for you. That's awesome. So what next? That is the update of the 7BC. Next update is going to be on the optics situation, I guess. If you were following along, you've seen that video, and I can't remember if the other videos have came out at this point, but I did replace that out of necessity. Like, I couldn't use the 7 Backcountry for the elk hunt, obviously. So what did I do? I went to Shields, local gun store here, local sporting goods store here, picked up a Ruger American Gen 2 Predator in 7mm PRC. Now, did the 22-inch barrel, and that is because, after Hornady swapped up their powders, you're getting some pretty unimpressive speeds out of the 7 PRC now. And I was so back and forth on what to get. Like, I was so close to just getting a 308 and saying the heck with it, or a 30-06 Tika or something. But that's what happens whenever I'm backed up into a corner and I have to make a decision. I just do something, and then later I'm like, crap, that was maybe not the best idea. Because don't get me wrong, the Ruger Americans are a fine rifle, but there's still a couple of things about them that make them not ideal for me as far as a gun that I'm going to pack around a lot. And one is the magazine. Even though that Predator has a more flush fitting magazine than like the Ranch or whatever, it's still not flush, and that makes it darn near impossible to carry it right in front of the trigger guard, which is where I carry the rifle. So just really awkward and really annoying to pack that thing around. The other thing is I put a Vortex, because honestly, like when I was beating that bolt open on the Savage a couple of times, I'm pretty sure I hit the scope against the tailgate too, and I was like, I don't know, man, like it's probably fine, but I'm not chancing it. So the 3-15 is just on a shelf right now. I'll wait and confirm that thing's good when I get that Savage back, but yeah, I wasn't taking any chances, so I went ahead and grabbed a different scope when I grabbed that Ruger, and I went with the Vortex Viper HD 5-25 by, what is that, 50, 52? I don't remember right now, but I don't know, more magnification than anything I've had in a while. And I did the Warren 30mm low rings. They're cheap ones. I don't know, were they $20-25? They're not bad. I've used them before and haven't had any issues, but and this is something that, like, I don't do it often, but Shields has this deal, like, it's not a deal. If you buy a gun and a scope, they mount it up for you and, level it, torque it, bore sight it, all that stuff for free. Well, given that this was a was it I don't know, middle of the week, and I was leaving on the weekend for a hunt. I was like, hey, any time that I can save would be great. So I let them mount this scope up. And long story short, I was at the range like on Thursday, I think, which was the day before we were taking off. Took my wife's rifle out to just basically see which ammunition it liked the best as far as like copper bullets and, just something that was more suited for elk than what she had usually been shooting. So I had like 5 different rounds of ammunition for that, or 5 different types of ammunition for that 708. Shot that, and then at the end of that video, kind of off video, I was like, you know what? Let me just fire 1 round with this this Ruger American, and just to confirm, like cold bore, 100 yards, just so I feel good about it, So I shot, and it was like 3 inches, or no, it was like 6 inches to the right of where I want it to be. And I'm like, well, that's super weird. So shot again, and it was perfectly left and right and like an inch high. I'm like, okay, and having shot this thing already once before, I knew it should be shooting better than that. So ended up shooting like 5 or 6 more rounds, and it was just all over the place. Couldn't tell what the heck was going on. Ended up taking that rifle on a hunt that weekend. She had her Tika 708. I had that Ruger's, packing it around. First thing that happened was I had the rifle in a sling, which I don't typically do, but I had a sling on it, and I had it over my shoulder. And apparently, like the parallax adjustment that has the thread end cap that has like the rubber button that turns on your reticle, that was rubbing against my belt pad for or like my hip belt for my backpack. Threaded itself out, so I lost the cap, battery. I looked down, I was like, what the frick, where'd this go? And then I realized what was happening, and it was rubbing on my hip belt because my parallax had been turned up to whatever, 400 or something. Like it had moved, and I was like, okay, well, it's clearly been rubbing on something. So that sucked. But then when I was looking at that and I had the scope kind of like upside down in a sense, I could see scuff marks on the tube. And I was like, okay, well, there's the reason that I can't hit anything with it. It's because the rings are loose. So the rings had backed out. Now, to, I guess, defend Shields and their employees a little bit, I did witness them use a torque wrench. I did not witness them setting the torque to it. I assume that they did it properly and things just backed out. Again, I've not had issues with these worn rings in the past, but whatever reason, these supposedly torqued screws backed out because that scope had slid back, I think, maybe like half an inch or so. So it was moving around quite a bit. So obviously I put that rifle in the truck and did not use it. And I was like, well, if I get the opportunity to take an elk, I will just use my wife's rifle. And that is a story for a different podcast. I'll have a whole podcast on that particular elk hunt. But I had to, I last minute bought a rifle to go on this hunt and then ended up not being able to use it anyway, which was kind of a bummer. So got home, obviously retorqued everything, used a little bit of thread lock on it to make sure that it doesn't back out again. So still don't know what the issue was. Never had any more issues after that as far as it backing out. I double checked the torque on it actually yesterday, and everything was still tight. So for whatever reason, that's what happened. It is what it is. But ultimately, after 5-6 days of hunting with that setup, I decided that I just don't like that Ruger American. If you want a rifle for hunting from a blind or tree stand or hunting building, whatever you want to call it, or if you utilize a sling a lot, you're probably fine going with the American. It's because, it does come with some nice features, for what it is. You're getting Cerakote and an okay trigger, some adjustability on the stock, a flush-ish fitting magazine, muzzle brake, threaded barrel, Picatinny rail. It comes with some things, right? So for the money, it's probably not that bad of a deal, and you can get some really cool cartridges. You can get, you can get different barrel lengths for, to kind of suit what you're wanting to do. So it's not a bad option. It's just for me, as someone who doesn't like to use a sling much, I just truly like to carry the thing in my hands. So typically, I like a lighter weight rifle with a perfectly flush fitting magazine, because that's typically where it's going to balance at, and that's where I hold it. So that's what I like. So for me, I didn't like that. Plus the added weight of that 5 to 25 Vortex Viper, it was just more than I like to carry. I mean, it's probably only like 8.5 pounds or something, but if you're used to carrying 6.5 to 7.5 pounds, 8.5 feels a lot more heavy. And then if you have to carry it in an awkward position, it makes it that much worse. So is 8.5 heavy? No, but is it heavier than I like? Absolutely it is. So I didn't really like that. I didn't like the scope. Like, it was probably, I would say, good out to maybe 15, potentially 18 power. Once you got to like 20, 25 power on that scope, it started to get a little bit hazy. The eye box got a little tight. So I think for like a target and, shooting off the bench, or honestly just any kind of target shooting, probably, because you're going to do that usually in, good daylight or decent daylight, probably fine. But for hunting, I think that you're not getting anything that's really benefiting you, and I think you're actually probably getting some detriment there with the weight. So for that reason, I just literally 2 hours ago went and returned that scope. That Shields has a great return policy. I carried that scope for 3 weekends of hunting, and granted, I mean, I didn't damage it. It was totally fine, but I just took it back to them. They're like, "Is anything wrong with it?" I'm like, "No, it's just heavier than I liked." And okay, gave me full refund. So, credit to Shields for one of the best return policies of any place I've ever purchased anything. But yeah, so what did I do with that money? I had it put on a Shields gift card and went upstairs and immediately spent it. And we'll get into another video at some point on what I spent it on. But hint, hint, it's on the table here. Yeah, so that's kind of the updates that I can think of right now. I know the big one was just what was going on with the 7 Backcountry. So if everything goes the way I think it's going, I guess expect maybe a couple more videos before season, deer season and stuff fires off. I'll try to make some on the 155 grain and get some speeds out of that. But yeah, no, I guess if you're interested in owning a 7 Backcountry, mine will be available very soon. Like I said, I'll probably make a few more videos, but I don't see myself keeping at least that particular rifle much longer. Try to make a couple more videos with it, try to confirm that they're saying that it's good. So I'll run the Fusion and Barnes and the 155 terminal sent through it, see what happens. Hopefully it don't blow my hands off, but yeah, I mean, I appreciate y'all watching all those videos. It means a lot to me. It's nice to have all those comments and having people have like genuine conversations. I feel like the conversations have been solid. People aren't getting too upset, even though there's clearly a difference of opinion between just about every other person in the comment section. So appreciate y'all keeping that, mature and everything, and just having a conversation, realizing that, hey, different strokes for different folks, and takes all kinds of kinds. So I appreciate you watching. If you haven't already, check out the podcast on like Apple Podcasts and Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, like on your drive to work or whatever, make sure you're following the show there. I mean, they're all basically going to be on YouTube as well. So wherever you listen and watch is great. But if you are a commuter that listens to podcasts, don't forget that I'm on there. Also check me out on Instagram. Try to throw some photos up of like what's going on, and a lot of times you're going to see stuff coming to the channel prior to YouTube. You'll see it on Instagram first, just because I'm not good at keeping secrets. So if I get a new toy, I'm gonna show the world right away, even if that means I don't make a video for a week or two after that. So again, thanks y'all for listening, and hope that satisfies your curiosity with the 7 Backcountry for now. Let me know if you have any questions on it. Let me know what you think about everything. Till next time, y'all be safe.